Hi guys, welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to be making a high mount alternator kit for the OM606, building the exhaust, learning how to TIG weld, getting the front wings out and ready for installation. We're going to have to do some modifications to those bits and showing you guys a nice little future project. So guys, first thing I'm going to jump into is the alternator mount. Everywhere you put the alternator is a little bit of a compromise. It's either in the way of the turbo or too close to the chassis, or the belt routing's not very good. So I'll show you what I've come up with and hopefully you guys agree. I think this is going to be the best place for it for this truck. Right, let's get into it. This is the three different alternator choices I've been working with. This is the smallest one, which is like an industrial equipment. You can get these in 50 amp, quite small. That's the reason I was sort of looking at that one. This is the original Mercedes one with its slipping clutch on the front. 115 amp hour, absolutely massive though. It's going to take some mounting. And this is a 300 TDI style with a W connection on the back for a rev counter, which is nice. And I put this pulley on the front. This is off a Mercury's, actually. It's a slightly smaller pulley, so it will spin a little bit quicker. This is the one I've decided to go with, and I'll show you why in a sec, but we'll get it on the truck and I'll show you the mounting options. So I'll try and hold the camera steady while I put this in place. So people do mount them in here, but it is so close to the chassis. I can cut that chassis ground tag off, but as you can see, we're only going to have 5, maybe 8mm clearance. I think it's too tight. The other option, people mount them up here, but then it's right in the way of the turbo. So I come up with the third option. I don't need the fuel filter because I've got a fuel filter mounted on the chassis. If I remove that, I thought the perfect place for the alternator could be in there. It keeps it nice and low profile. The belt routing's nice because it'll run around the top of here and I'll get nearly 90 degrees of belt on those two pulleys. Keeps it high out of the water, and yeah, I think that's going to be that's the best option. So I've made a bracket up. I'll just get that. So hopefully that does the job. So then let's get it mounted. So that's the alternator bracket dropped into place. I've got 2 fixings through the edge of the cylinder head and 2 through the power steering pump bracket. It's all made out of 5mm plate, so I can't see it going anywhere. That should be a good solid alternator mount. I'll drop the alternator on now and then do the belt routing. I've got 2 different options of belt routing, and yeah, I'll show you guys once we get the alternator dropped on. So this is option 1. This is the more factory style belt routing, I think. So it goes over the top of the water pump, round the alternator, round the power steering pump, round the crank, and then that's the tensioner, and that tension's going that way, so that'll take the slack out. My second option, if this alternator slips, I don't think it will because I've got, you know, quite a good purchase on that belt there, is to do it a little bit differently, and it is to take the tensioner bracket off, fix that so it can't move, and then run the belt. I'll get this belt off and I'll show you. Like this. So I've got 180 degrees on there, and less on the crank, less on the water pump. I'm not liking this as much. I could then use the alternator to move to tension the belt. If it does slip, I might have to go to that design, but I prefer to keep the original tensioner in its normal position and doing what it should do, because obviously Mercedes designed that to work properly. So guys, let me know what you think to that high alternator mount. I need to make a bar to go from that stud to that stud as the alternator steady, and there's a space for the top water hose to come out of there with a good bit of clearance. I'm going to put a stainless little guard over it in case the belt does flap. I can't see it moving that much, but yeah. Let us know your thoughts on that. I haven't seen anybody else mount one up high there, but I think for this application I think it's going to work great, because no clearance issues with the chassis, it's not in the way of the turbo. I know I've had to sacrifice the standard fuel filter, but I'm not going to run that anyway, so all good I think. Next thing, power steering hose. I've had a bit of a breakthrough with that. The original Landrover one will fit into the Mercedes pump. I've just had to bend the end of it with the get it red hot and glowing, and then you can bend the end. I'll show you that in a sec. So that's the pressure line on the power steering done. Obviously that's the part that I bent, the original part. Going down to the original line, and it fits, it'll bolt onto the original clips in the front crossmember, and then over to the power steering box. So that's all going to be really nice, tidy and original looking. The return would have gone up to the header tank, would have been just there. So that's now going to return in a loop and go down to its original steel pipe work, which would have been the feed for the pump. And it's going to route round here and up into the Mercedes header tank. So that's really straightforward. That fitting working is a huge bonus, because having hydraulic lines made and steering pipes made is very expensive and time consuming. So that's the real bonus, that just fits straight away. Right, next job. So this is the next day and we're on to the next job. This is all the parts for the exhaust. I've got some bends, different sorts. I've got some 3-inch flanges, weld-on flange, and then it's got a nice clamp. That's my stack, which is some old 4-inch stainless pipe that I had laying about. I've got some 3-inch stainless pipe, a reducer or a expander, depends which way around you want to call it. That's going to go from the 3 into the 4 to go on the bottom of there. I've also got some heat-proof exhaust wrap, which I'm going to wrap the front pipe in, which I've already made, but I'll show you guys that in a sec, and I'll show you my process that's going to be for making the exhaust up. I was going to do it all with a MIG and stainless wire, and I've got stainless wire in the MIG set up now, but I decided to TIG it all together, and I've never TIG welded before in my life. This is a bit of an experiment, but hopefully we can make it work. So yeah, I'll show you where we've got to. So guys, so this is my MIG setup. It's an old Overland MIG 200 amp. As you can see, I've got stainless wire in there now, and that's what I've been building the front pipe with. I have this old TIG welder. It's one my dad bought about 20 years ago. It's a Trades TIG 145 DC. We've never TIG welded before. We was going to learn, we never did. So this is what we're going to do. This is my first attempt at TIG welding. Obviously not very nice at all. I was originally welding on MIG weld gas because I didn't have any argon, and I did this weld with MIG weld gas. It's not very pretty, but it'll hold. Then I went and got some argon and some better stainless filler rod, and I did that. I know it's not very pretty, but you've got to start somewhere. So we're going to learn how to TIG weld whilst building the exhaust for this truck. So yeah, let's get some bits and cut some steel and get it welded together. So this is the front pipe I've already made. I did all the welds with the MIG with stainless wire in it and then ground them flat. The reason I've done that is because I'm going to cover all the whole front pipe in exhaust wrap. That's over here right now. It says to soak it for 20 minutes in water and then you can wrap it. So I'm going to chuck that in a bucket, get it soaking, and then we'll cover the front pipe. So it's been soaking for about 25 minutes, and I'm going to get it wrapped now. It's fiberglass, so it's best to use gloves. So that's the exhaust wrap on the front pipe. I've used double clips at both ends. The idea with that is to keep the heat out of the engine bay a little bit and away from the bulkhead and electrical parts. So hopefully that works really well. Right, let's get that installed. That's the front pipe installed. You can see down there. I'll just go underneath and you'll see where it comes out. So that's where it comes out. I've got a 90 welded to a flexi already. Then I'm going to put another 90, run it alongside the chassis, and then up into the bed and out the back. So it should be fairly straightforward. Right, I'll get welding. Right guys, wish me luck. Hopefully we can get on a little bit better with this TIG welding.
Going, sweet. Yeah.
Not
right.
terrible.
No, it's not terrible at all, mate.
It's not easy.
No. No, but that's your first crack of the whip now, really, isn't it? So,
Never.
can't complain at that.
No, this is like, yeah.
Yeah, you've had what you've done there, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, this is like weld number 3.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. Can I borrow your slicky disc?
Yeah, of course you can, yeah.
These.
So guys, this is weld number 4. This is the 4th weld I've ever done with the TIG. It's not dead pretty, there's an horrible bit there. But by the time I finish this exhaust, I might actually be able to sort of TIG weld. I'm not going to bore you with a 10-hour welding montage. I'm just going to keep cutting the bits, welding, and then once we've got a few big bits together, I'll show you how far we've got. So guys, that's the exhaust all made. It took me a few evenings. I just took my time and tried to learn how to TIG weld. It's not perfect by any means, but I'm really happy with what's turned out. I'm happy that I've learned a new skill and started the basics of learning how to TIG weld. On another note, if you do want to learn how to TIG weld, it's really not that hard. There's loads of great tutorials on YouTube. You can make your own exhaust or whatever you're building. Try not to be too daunted by all these really in-depth videos. Just get a cheap machine and have a go. I'm no expert, and I think it's turned out really good. So these are the welds. Like I said, obviously not perfect, but I did get better towards the end. I'm quite happy with what I've made. Let's get the truck up in the air and get the exhaust on. So while I'm fitting this exhaust system, would anybody fancy a video of future projects? I've got a Series 1 Landrover that needs to be restored, and I've got my blue Landrover that I'm going to put a different engine in. I've got different options for that, and I've got a few other jobs actually, a few other cool projects that we're going to be doing over the next year or so. So if you'd fancy like a 10-minute video, just put it in the comments. I'm happy to make one and see what people think. If it's something you want, I could do that video pretty quick. As long as the sun's shining, that is. Right, we're going to go down to get the stack on, and then back up to nip everything up. Just move you out the way so you don't get squashed. This drops through here. I'll put 3 rubber mounts in the back to support this as well. Yep, right, back up again. That's where it comes out from the front pipe that I made. Across the chassis, got a nice flexi in there. Down the side of the chassis. This is a nice long straight section, which if I want to in the future I can cut that out and put a short muffler in there because it might be loud. I made a hanger there, then it goes up through a gap, across there, and then up through the floor. I'm going to put some aluminium heat shield around that wood there. I can fit that afterwards, that'll be easy to bend around there and just tack it on. I'll lower the ramp down and show you the stack. Right up there at the minute. So as the ramp's just going down, you can see I've got a rubber mount in there, another mount there, and another mount there. I just drilled and threaded that section. It's got an M10 thread on there, and then I just put stainless M10 bolts on. It comes out there, 4-inch. This was all tube I already had. I haven't done any of these welds. This was already all done. I quite like the industrial looks. I think it looks pretty cool. Tried to get it to match the angles. It looks a bit strange at that angle, but if you get it there, it looks good. Yeah, I like it. I'm not too worried about it filling up with rain because it'd have to rain for a long time to fill all that pipe up. I might put a tiny weep hole in the bottom of one of those stainless pipes, just a 2mm or something. I think my next job is just to move the heater across, because I don't know if you can remember from the last episode, we've got a bit of a clearance issue there, so just need to move that across 1 inch. Yeah, that shouldn't take long to do that though. Slowly getting there. Oh, and I made that little bracket last night for the alternator. Right, that's the heater moved across. I've got enough room now to get my hand between the heater outlet and the inlet manifold, so that's great because obviously that was touching before. Next thing I'm going to do is get the inner wings out and get those prepped and ready for paint. I want to put the inner wings in place so that I can make sure I've got clearance for this pipe work. I may have to trim some of the inner wing out to actually clearance around the engine. I need to put the intake pipe on or in place for the inlet manifold. Just sort of sit that all how it's going to go to make sure I've got room for everything. So I'll go get the inner wings out. I'll show you what we've got. I've managed to find some second-hand good front wings. They need a little bit of dressing, tidying up, but they're pretty good. So I'll show you what we've got and then we'll go from there. So these are the front wings that I've managed to find. Genuine Landrover ones off a 200 TDI. So these are 91-ish, 92 to 94, I think. Early 90s anyway. In great condition. They took some finding, to be honest, to pair in this condition. You can get brand new reproduction ones, but they're just not quite the same as a proper Landrover original. So they're the two outer skins. Let's pop that down there. This one's got a little bit of damage to this front corner, but nothing major. Really chuffed I managed to get those in such good condition. And these are the two wing tops. They've got a few ripples and dints, obviously not perfect, but I'm going to put an aluminium checker plate on there anyway. I know some people don't like it, but we actually stand on the wings and work off the trucks a bit, so sometimes you just need to be able to stand on there. But again, in incredible condition for their age. So I'm really happy with those. And I managed to find some inner wings as well. And what I did with these are galvanised, and then I wire wheeled all the inside out, and then did it with a 2-part epoxy to prevent any further corrosion. And then I think I'm going to do them in satin black. The driver's one fits no problem. It's tight on the turbo, but it's not too bad. Just get it into place. It's just roughly dropped on place. So there's a bit of clearance there, it's not too much. It's about where it needs to be sat on the truck. Yeah, when all that's done satin black, I think that'll look great. Yeah, so passenger side we have got an issue. It runs on the power steering pipe and it's very close to the outlet, or the inlet, sorry, should I say, for the power steering tank. So I'm going to end up cutting down here and back here, and maybe making a rubber internal section for that. I want to put something there to stop the spray coming through from the wheel, but I don't want anything that's going to hit on that pipe or snap that little plastic lug off. So that's the next job. But I think what I'm going to do now, guys, is wrap this video up at this point. I've got another 110 that we've just collected. I'll just go show you that quickly. That's actually, we're going to repair it for an overlanding job. The guy wants to take it to Morocco, and at the minute it doesn't even go in gear, so I'll go show you that in a sec. So this is my friend's 110. He's going to do an overlanding trip with this truck to Morocco, but at the minute it's got no drive at all. I think it's a transfer box, as the lever's gone all wibbly wobbly, same as it did in my 110, but mine was stuck in high range. This one seems to be stuck in the neutral position. So we'll need to do that. We're going to do cam belt and a full service and get it ready for this overland trip. So I'll film that. I think it might make an interesting few videos getting this ready for an overland trip. The next part of the build for my 110 is going to be getting the front wings on. I'll have them painted for the next video. Getting the radiator mounted, intercooler pipes, intercooler, and getting on with some wiring. But it's really getting close now. Looking forward to hearing it run. Thanks guys for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.